So let's start from the beginning. So
Sure.
what caught your interest in the cryptocurrency or blockchain or
I know nothing about it
nothing about it
at all.
So how did you hear about wanting to get interested in it?
I want to know if it's for me, for one.
Yeah,
So I wouldn't know that unless I know what it is.
yeah, sure.
So that's basically it. Just want to know if it's for me.
If it's something you can get used to or get into or
Get into, build some wealth, do anything that I don't traditionally do.
sure.
Right?
So first and foremost, I'll definitely just say that, this is not financial advice, any of
Sure.
the stuff that we are going over disclosing. This is just for educational purposes and everything like that. I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not licensed or anything like
You
that.
sound like a TikTok.
I mean, but
I got you.
But you do have to disclose all those things over, because, not that I'm, advising you to invest in any particular coins, but we're gonna be
Gotcha.
going over different things
Yep.
and stuff like that, close to that scenario, but, it's up to you to educate yourselves furthermore of doing your research behind the coins and everything like that.
For sure.
So I would just say, from the beginning stages, our company name is Megan Tan LLC. So we also teach art classes and other different things. My
Okay.
wife does that part of the spectrum. So Meg is mine, Miguel, and Tan is for her name, Tan Chopin.
Okay, makes sense.
So, and then the little catchphrase, life through opened eyes. So it's opening your eyes to newer different things.
Okay.
Um,
That's neat.
so I would say just from the beginning stages here, what's your level of understanding in finances in general? I guess we can start from there.
Probably minimal, man.
Minimum,
Yeah.
um,
I pay bills. That's
pay
about
bills and
it.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would say.
Because this is beginner, right?
Yeah, it's a beginner stage. Yeah, that's what. But I'm saying in general, of
Sure.
the spectrum of just finances, like let's say money in general, or credit, or savings, stuff like
I mean,
that.
I get the basis of stuff. I'm a software engineer
Okay.
at aerospace and defense. I've been there for 20 years.
Oh.
Not at that place, but that industry.
Yeah.
I just moved to Western New York.
I noticed you got a Capital One Discover.
My wife is Discover. She's in more financing than I am.
Okay, but so she's more into
Yeah.
that sector.
Yeah, I'm a software engineer. I do software. She does banking quality in the banking sector.
Okay,
Discover.
cool.
Discover
Yeah.
slash.
Capital One.
They merged.
They merged with Capital One.
Yeah, these two
Yeah.
guys. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
know too much of it,
Um, So I would say, if anything, it's very much close to the regular financial sector. I work in the bank industry myself,
Okay.
actually, on the side as a full-time until this can be taken up, which will be more successful, then I'll switch and transition over to that. But yeah, I work in the bank industry myself.
Okay.
So I'm gonna correlate things to regular banking in a sense, and then towards the blockchain, so I'm gonna read over the things, and then I'm gonna kinda try to relate to it, and then you can also ask questions along the way, and then if you want, I can write stuff on the chalkboard or the erase board. So, first and foremost, the blockchain is a digital database, a ledger, that stores information in sequences of blocks. These blocks are linked together in a chain, making the system extremely secure, transparent, and nearly impossible to alter. So think of it as a shared notebook that everyone can see, but no one can erase or change once something is written. So kind of similarity into a sense of even software or computer. So look at it that it's the beginning stages of when the internet was first began and the internet first got introduced to us as the consumer, right? The higher ups, you can call them, they had first access and dibs to the internet, which is like NASA and all this like that, right? So this would be saying this is the first dibs to having access to, instead of web 1.0 is when it first began, the website
Sure.
or internet, and then we we transitioned from 1.0, right, over to 2.0, which was Facebook, or actually not even Facebook yet, it was MySpace, AOL, emailing, stuff like that.
Sure.
So, and then now that's becoming essentially obsolete. It's there, it's good, but it's clunky, it's slow, it's not as efficient as us nowadays want everything to be instant, right? So then see that we're transitioning over to 3.0, which you would be aware of as to building software and stuff like that. AI is being implemented into things. 3.0 would be the virtual realities side of the spectrum, faster, quicker, using credit cards, debit cards.
Sure.
So I would say the blockchain is,
So when you guys say, this example is a shared notebook, like, what is a shared? Like, just-
so, the same thing as, for example, everyone, let's say you have, if we're gonna use the example of the notebook, for example, you have a notebook and you have information and data and everything in your notebook, but you want others to be able to access and know the information in it as well. You have it as an open ledger or open
Sure.
book that, let's say it's in a museum. It's a notebook, but it's in a museum, it's protected and guarded, but also everyone has access to come and touch it, open it, look at the data. But then at the end of the day, once the museum closes, it's back protected, no one person have access to it, but everyone can utilize the data as they please, as the hours open. But it's actually a little bit even better than that because the blockchain doesn't ever close, unlike, let's say, the stock market. The
Right.
stock market does close, it has a closing and opening, and it closes over the weekends. The blockchain is infinitely open, accessible, no one, government, no company controls it. So if you go to like page 2, it's decentralized. So decentralized, is meaning, you know, if a computer fails, it's a bunch of blocks. So it's a bunch of blocks and chains of computers, just like the same thing of each, super motherboard, or I mean, not motherboard, but, supercomputer for the data that holds the internet itself. It's a bunch of different computers across the world. So if one server goes down, it doesn't matter because it's not gonna knock out the whole internet. And I know a lot of people try to like, argue to the fact like, well, what if, you know, the internet, or what if the world got shut off with internet or the electricity? Well, then everything's going off, so
Right.
it doesn't matter, like, just because this stuff is digital and it's only online based, as we have access to internet and electricity, so thus will this exist.
Right.
But the transparency is that it's visible, the blockchain, anyone can verify them, they're built, it builds trust without needing a central authority. So central authority is like in the banking system where it's centralized, pretty much maybe 3 or 4 huge entities
Right.
Actually own it, the Federal Reserves and the British and, you know, a few other different countries that basically kind of control everything with the fiat. So fiat is something that's, you know, physical, you can touch it. Blockchain, internet, not something you can touch, but you can utilize it. It's accessible through a cell phone or computer, and its use cases is something useful, and then we'll get into that as to how the blockchain transactions work. So example, transaction is created, someone sends cryptocurrency, something like Bitcoin or Ethereum, interacts with the smart contract. So the smart contract is basically the consensus of saying someone's trying to create a transaction. The transaction is broadcasted, the network of computers, which are nodes, receives a transaction request. After that, the verification consensus, as I said earlier, nodes check if the transaction is valid, meaning both parties is saying yes, common methods. Bitcoin is called proof of work, which is POW. Computer solves puzzles and then it unlocks blocks to then unlock more Bitcoin. Bitcoin itself, it's only 21 million ever to be made or be created. It's that is it. It is purposely built that way so that is a sense of scarcity. It's, there's other ones out there. I'm going to go over that a little bit later on in the pamphlets here. That they have almost infinite supply. I would say those ones be use case to where if there's millions and millions of dollars or millions of transactions need to be done within a matter of minutes or seconds, that's where some of the other cryptocurrency has a lot more supply to be able to handle that amount of, transaction and the volume of transactions. So those are kind of the beginning stages. Any questions from that part so far yet?
So blockchain,
Mm-hmm.
you said it's a ledger. To think of it as a ledger.
Yeah, it's a
Database, it's all database, right?
Yeah. Which is cool in the sense that right now the banking system uses ledgers as well.
Sure.
Which are on the older ledger, which is goodness, who's the freaking code again? Trying to think of their name of the ledger that they're used. It'll come to me a little bit later on.
Sure.
So their their ledger that they use is older, it's slower and kind of becoming to be obsolete. I think it's StarNet or something like that. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank in that sense part there. But the ledger that they use is what allows a bank to bank, so P2P, or peer-to-peer, allow one bank to talk to another bank into doing a transaction. Like, for example, if you have a checking account and I have a checking account, but mine's at KeyBank and yours is at M&T Bank, right? The ledger system, which is their data system right there, allows me to send you money from my account to your account and it verifies it.
Right.
But it's slow, very, very slow. For example, if it's a certain amount of money, it's over the threshold, let's say it's $1,000, and then that's over the threshold of just sending account to account. We would then have to do a wire.
Right.
So a wire is even slower because now it's asking even more computing power and data to be verified through the ledger systems where on the blockchain it's going to be damn near instant, like five minutes tops, depends on which blockchain you use. So yeah, transactions added to the block. The block joins the chain. Once approved, the block is connected to previous blocks using cryptograph hashes. This form is blockchain. And then what is cryptocurrency? Basically, it's just digital money built on the blockchain technology. It can be used as pay for goods, services, send money across borders, invest or save, power blockchain applications like smart contracts. Examples, Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Polygon. So basically look at it as it's digital fiat, but it's not fiat, it's a currency. Versus fiat, it can be infinitely keep printing it, which is then what's creating in the world inflation. They just keep printing it. Oh, the economy's in shambles, print more money,
Right.
pull them out of it. But the beauty with cryptocurrency is going to be able to transition us from the central banks and the governments to keep people in poverty in a sense, or keep people bound to the fact that we need them to print more money to pull us out of recessions or pull us out of debt, even though it creates even more debt because then they're lending it out even
Right.
more. So banking systems are built off of lending.
Right.
The more they lend, the more they can increase the interest rates and all those different things like that. So that's kind of more of the gist of cryptocurrency part. The name of it's just cryptocurrency, but just look at it as digital money.
Right.
What makes blockchain important? The security of it. Hacking one computer does not change the blockchain. You would need to hack thousands at the same time. So again, it's nodes, and the blockchain then has nodes, which are computers, databases. It's, I don't know, probably 10,000 to hundreds of thousands of them across
Sure.
the world. So these are also people that has the blockchain themselves, and they're verifying the transactions. So you as a consumer also can have a piece of that, unlike where the centralized banking systems is one entity controlling it, and you don't really have a piece of it, and you can't really make any money off of that.
Sure.
Because they all control it. But the blockchain, you can become a node owner, and a node owner where you will be verifying the blocks, unlocking them, and then you get rewarded by, if you verify a whole block, you can basically unlock one whole Bitcoin. So this is a little bit different of a scenario there. That's a little later on, more advanced stuff.
It's interesting.
But it's very, very cool stuff once you really start to get to know it a little bit here. So you can't, it's not really hackable in a sense. No one's ever necessarily been hacked. Now, of course, there's ways around that. Someone could get hacked within the blockchain, only from you yourself directly gave access to someone getting hold of your wallet, for example. So a wallet would be a little bit later on there, and I'll go back over that part.
Okay.
So what makes a blockchain important? Speed, low cost, transactions can be faster, cheaper than bank transfers. Anyone with the internet can participate. No bank account required. So that's not completely entirely true there. You still it requires you to have a bank account so that you can transfer your fiat over into the blockchain to be able to purchase cryptocurrency.
What's fiat? What is-
So
when you say
fiat
that?
is money, dinero, US dollar,
Right,
Canadian dollar.
so it's the physical.
Yeah, it's the
dollar.
physical, actual
In
dollar.
essence.
Huh?
And that's what they call it, fiat?
Yeah, so that's the actual
Okay,
name of it,
okay.
yeah, so fiat is the actual name of it, and it's,
So is this, is blockchain like, I thought, I understood it as, is it traceable, like when you purchase stuff and?
yes,
you
so
see-
everything is visible, everything is recorded on the blockchain.
On the
and-
ledger, or the
Yeah,
blockchain?
yeah, which
rather?
is the blockchain, which is a ledger.
Right, right,
Everything is recorded.
okay,
It can't be erased, it can't be altered. Once that transaction is verified from one wallet to another, you send it over to whatever wallet, or you send it to another individual, their wallet, essentially it's infinitely gone. There's no way, so a lot of people get scared of that because with the banking systems, let's say someone hacks your account and then, they take, I don't know, $100 to $200, whatever. The bank has a thing called FDIC, where they're insured, it's an insurance, but really in a sense, they can't retrieve your money either. They're just backing your money in there by making you to feel secure, saying that if someone ever does get a hold of it and get a hold of your account, we take responsibility as the bank to reimburse you your money back into your account. But they didn't necessarily go and retrieve your money from
Right.
that person that hacked it.
right,
So, in a sense, it's the same difference. For example, you have a wallet. If you, later on in the teachings there, it tells you if you have keys. So once you unlock your wallet, it it gives you, cryptocurrency, it gives you, special key codes, like 10 words, key
Sure.
phrases. That allows you to know that you're the sole owner of that wallet. You basically wanna guard it with your life of those key words, because that gives you ownership of your cryptocurrency on that wallet. Same difference like your account and routing number for your checking account, savings account. You don't want just anyone to be having that, right? Now they have access to go purchase things online, etc. So also to be mindful, if you ever write a check, you don't just wanna just give your check again to anyone that
Right.
has your account number, routing number on it. Usually you're writing only a check to, that is a
Business.
secured business or something like that, right? So the smart contracts, that would be back on page 4. So we're going on to page 4, they're self-execute agreement codes on the blockchain, they power NFTs, decentralized apps, and much more. So NFTs are a little bit later on, they're good things. They're still, again, too much of a beginning stage for them to have any use case scenario yet within the real world. Similar to the same difference with the blockchain, cryptocurrency, and all the companies that exist with that. But we'll go over that a little bit later for the NFT part there, so. Real world uses of blockchain. So cryptocurrency, you can do payments, you can do NFTs, digital ownerships is basically the same difference with NFT, and then you have ownership of it. Supply chain tracking, voting systems, healthcare data security, decentralized finance, which is DeFi. So blockchain is rapidly expanding beyond crypto. Why beginners should learn this technology? Blockchain is becoming a major part of finance, technology, art, gaming, and digital identity. Learning it now builds future career skills, helps understand crypto safely, open opportunities in tech and in business. Supports creativity through NFTs and digital assets. So in a sense, it kind of go hand in hand to once you do start to learn this a lot more in depth, even with, your job of software engineer, you eventually might come across where you're gonna need to be learning the blockchain as well to also be a software engineer. In a sense, it's the same thing,
Sure. There's a lot of things that you were seeing that I can relate to, for sure, that
Yeah.
has to do with, technology.
This is just different and newer,
Right.
versus the stuff that you learned and that you've been doing as a career. This is the newer and improved version of it, right,
Sure.
more so, right? So what is cryptocurrency really? What crypto really is and how invest using fiat money, which is your physical money. What cryptocurrency really is? Cryptocurrency is a digital money created, managed, using blockchain technology, unlike traditional money, US dollar, euro, etc. Crypto has no physical form, it exists only online. Key points to understand is no bank or company or government controls it. The community blockchain rules controls it. Cryptocurrency keeps transactions safe, prevent fraud, ensure only the owner of the wallet can access their funds. It is borderless, so you can send and receive anywhere in the world within minutes without needing a bank. That right there, in a sense, makes it worth it
Sure.
to want to be in it, not even for the sense of just using it as an advancement, like an investment tool. That is the beauty of it, but the bigger part as to why institutions are already starting to adopt it on as a use case is that they can basically be borderless, they can be international.
Right.
Okay, so limited supply, some of them are limited supply. Many cryptocurrency have a fixed supply, like Bitcoin, which I was saying earlier, only 21 million of it ever will be created. scarcity can increase the value of it over time. So a lot of people like to compare Bitcoin as the new gold 2.0.
Okay.
Gold itself is a commodity, right?
Sure.
But unfortunately, we don't know how much of gold is out there in the world still existing. We only probably scratch the surface of, let's say, 10% of the gold that's within the earth and dug up and mined, etc. What makes it to be valuable right now is that we can use it as jewelry. It's shiny, it's cool looking. It also is used into computers, cell phones.
Okay.
You know, it's got a lot of use case scenarios for gold. It's an electric conductor. So that's why it has its value plus then some. Same thing with Bitcoin. Not only is it a commodity, because it can be used in real world scenarios as to doing transactions, doing payments, sending from one country to another, it's finite. So it's a commodity, which is meaning that it has use cases, it can be utilized in the same scenarios of payments, but finite, unlike the gold. Gold's not finite. We don't know how much is out there. But Bitcoin stops at 21 million ever. So commodity and finite. So it trumps over gold itself. You
Right.
get what I mean?
Yep,
by that?
yep. Especially because of the scarcity part.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, for sure.
So depending on the coin or token, crypto can be used for digital payments, like I said, smart contracts, NFT purchases, gaming, or metaverse apps.
I like how you go over, just first 5 pages, that's noticed, like you go over this same thing over and over.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more detail, that helps me.
Yeah.
So I'm a listener, I listen. And
Same here, yeah.
And I'm like, I might miss something at the first part, but then you will bring up the same point again, which is very helpful in my brain, so, thank
Good,
you.
good. Yeah, no problem, no problem. You're following along there, right?
Yeah,
Okay, good,
everything's,
good, good.
understandable.
Alright.
I might have questions, but I think it might be answered a little bit later.
Yeah,
so-
I think it's probably a little bit later there. Okay, so,
It looks like there's a lot to cover.
yeah, there quite is. It is, but it's very interesting once we do finish the packet and then, any questions to be had, then we can
Sure.
kind of pop back over to different pages to where it can kind of answer a little bit more. So, earning rewards, there's something called staking, or yield earning, and then there's decentralized finance, which is called DeFi. So I would say, you know, this part right here of saying earning rewards, look at that as the same thing. At your bank, for example, they have things called money markets. Money markets, you can earn a little bit of interest on it by allowing your money to sit in there.
Sure.
They still want to see transactions, so a lot of people, as funny as it is working in the industry, we have things called checking accounts, right? There's checking accounts, there's saving accounts,
Sure.
and then there's money markets. Money market and checking accounts are both depository transactional accounts. They want to see transactions. Unlike a savings account, still want to see transactions, but not as often. Then there's things called CDs.
Right.
It's locking the funds, it's holding it for certain terms of period. So a money market, it earns, it gives you a little bit of interest, it gives you a little incentivized to hold your money over there versus a checking account or savings. Saving account gives you 0.04. Money market right now, depends on the bank. They're going anywhere from tops right now because of all the basis points and the Federal Reserve dropped interest rates. Top tier is maybe 4%. 4% they're giving you on your money. What would that be? 4%. Let me just see. So 4% on your money there, it's not that much, right?
No.
So if you have 20,000, say for example, plus 4%, you'd make it. That's if you hold it in for the full year. A lot of people don't realize that when it says APY or APR. APR is as per month in a sense. APY is the full totality of 12 months. So it'd be like 20,800, only if it stayed in there that whole full 12 months. But a lot of those places offer CDs that are 7 months, 11 months, or 8 months, or either they'll hit you with like something like, oh, well, if you come into ours, we'll give you 3 months for 5%. You're like, oh, heck yeah, I'm getting 5%, well, we're really not. That's 5% as a APY census part, but you're not holding it for the full 12 months. You're only holding it for 4 months or 5 months. So you're getting the payouts per month as if it was the full 5%, but in a sense, you're not holding it long enough for it to compound. So there's something called compound interest, right? So the interest compounds from pays $1, but then the next time that dollar from the $100 to 101 now gives you $103, let's say. Now you got $103 starting, that's the starting base. So it compounds and it snowballs, right? Those are products and stuff like that, which in a sense can relate back to here where it's called staking or yield earning. So staking would be the same thing of holding it in the money market where you're earning interest. Staking would be the same thing holding your cryptocurrency in a platform where it's giving you interest on your cryptocurrency being held there. And then yield earning is the same thing how I was saying APY. Staking is just something where it's being held at, like money market. Yield earning, same difference. You can base this off of like APY.
Cool.
And then, so example of popular cryptocurrencies, kind of what we went over a little bit earlier. Bitcoin as digital gold 2.0, I would say. Ethereum, ETH. So these are the abbreviations you would see, like the same thing in the stock market where it's called a ticker. So the ticker symbol is Bitcoin is BTC, Ethereum is ETH, Solana is SOL. So Bitcoin, the digital gold, Ethereum, smart contract platform, and Solana is a fast blockchain for apps and NFTs. So each one of them have their own use case scenarios, and the beauty of it, again, you can then relate these back to when someone says cryptocurrency, look at it as the same census as to when someone's talking about Tesla, Microsoft, NVIDIA. Those are companies, right?
Sure.
And then they have their stock. They have stocks that gives you partial ownership of that company that has real world value, which is giving computer chips, which is building cars,
Sure.
which is building software and computer components and stuff like that. So people are like, well, why would I want something to be digital where I can't actually touch it, physically? Same difference as to you want Microsoft and you like NVIDIA because you want a computer to be faster, stronger, better software. You can't touch it physically necessarily, you can't touch the internet, but we utilize it on a day-to-day basis. So each one of them have their use case scenarios, like I said, and then Polygon has a low cost transaction. Oh, and then stable coins. So this right here, I'd say is gonna be quite the highlight within the future. Stable coins, so USDT and USDC is crypto backed by real money.
Okay.
So essentially, unlike the other cryptocurrencies, those are backed by something called liquidity. So the liquidity, I'm not even gonna spell it out. So liquidity, right? Stable coins, they're backed by real money, which is USD. And the point of those is one stable coin equals one fiat. And it always basically stays that way. So for example, USDC will have something called like its liquidity pool, where I think it has $2.5 billion in liquidity. So it's backed by enough money to where if anyone wants to use the stable coins, look at that as the same thing as how I said fiat. You aren't gonna get rich or you're not gonna make money off of stable coins necessarily. They're meant to where if you purchase Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana or Polygon and you're using it as a sense of an investment, and let's say you had a capital gains on it, you don't want to keep it in those cryptocurrencies because it's volatile. So
Right.
those are in the market and they're volatile. It goes up, it goes down, it goes sideways a little bit there. It fluctuates, right? So as it's fluctuating, you want to always try to take your profit as it goes up. Pretty much anyone in the world, we're in it to win it to get
Sure.
profits, right?
Yep.
We're not in it because it looks cool and it's pretty and it's nice and I don't know, it just looks amazing. Sure, some people might be enjoying that stuff, but that would be on the different spectrum, which would be NFTs. You like what it look like, or you like art. That has, different value. But these, pretty much everyone, 9 out of 10, is in it to win it to get profit. You wanna always try to take your profits out and then transfer it into something that's called stable coins. Stable coins is gonna give you that stability so that your money doesn't keep fluctuating in the market. Same difference as to if you got your money in stock markets, that fluctuates, the stock market goes up, goes down. Something could fail, most don't, where they have they have billions of dollars invested in their company, they're not gonna fail necessarily, but, who am I don't have a crystal ball, they definitely could, right?
Sure.
That there's always a possibility something could go to zero, so people always like to say that as just, to cover themselves as a saying, not to give you a different answer, like, no, it's never gonna fail, it's always gonna be around, but no, nobody knows that. But yeah, so stable coins,
Why would you put your profit into stablecoin instead of like just taking it out?
so the whole point, if you're going to get into the blockchain, the cryptocurrency, and you're going to start to invest in it, you don't want all your eggs in one basket,
Sure.
right? So if you're starting the journey of investing, the journey of investing can be anything, right? And in most things, you want it to be of profit within the future, the immediate future and the long-term future, right? So any of those assets, for example, like I said, Bitcoin or anything like that, and it goes up in profit, it's gonna fluctuate. You don't want your profits to then go down to zero, where let's say you invested 10,000, it goes up, I don't know, it doubles your money, and you go to 20,000.
Right.
No, you just doubled your money. I want to take it and realize those gains.
Right.
You leave it in that asset, it can keep going up,
Risky.
amazing.
Right.
But if not, it can drop back down to 15,000. Now you have an unrealized gain, which is 5,000. Even though you never really actually lost it, you did see it there. It was
Right.
there. You didn't, but you never took it as realization of a profit. So in a sense, did you really lose that? Not really, because you never finalize it, take it out, put it into stable coin. The point of stable coin, like I said, it stabilizes itself, but you're probably saying, why wouldn't you didn't switch it into fiat, right? So fiat, the whole point of using the blockchain, stable coins, cryptocurrency is that you're transitioning yourself away from fiat. It's inflationary. These are deflationary, right?
Right.
So, they're very stable, unlike the fiat. The fiat, as the economy crashes, society and stuff like that, the value of the dollar has dropped dramatically.
Sure.
As I'm sure you can witness by going in the grocery store and you buy the same 10 items and it costs you $20 back in the day, and now it's almost $100.
Sure.
But with these, we're in it so early that they're just gonna essentially continues to keep going up. They're the quickest and fastest growing asset in the world. No other asset in the world has grown this fast if you look at from when they started, thus to now, some of them grown, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of percent, hundreds of thousands percent. So nothing in the stock market, nothing in the asset class of the world can outbeat these, outshine these, come anywhere close to them. Sure, they're very still new. They're like a newbie to the world of finances, but Bitcoin, I think, is already in, I believe, number 4 in the world in asset class. Versus Visa, MasterCard, Microsoft, all those companies like that. The big companies out in the world. Bitcoin already moves itself up in the top 5. That is pretty crazy, and then the fact that it's I think I've been around since 2007 or 8 or something like that. So instead of fiat, now you can switch it into fiat, but then you're realizing your gains anyways. Even when you do switch it from one cryptocurrency to another, you're realizing the gains, but those are all different things for an accountant and to go over with them and tax purposes and stuff like that. But instead of it being over in the fiat, where it's back to being controlled by the masses of the that with stablecoins, and then you have it on something called a cold wallet or your own wallet, you have more control over what's happening with it, how it's doing. If ever something else gets compromised, you know that you control your assets in a sense. Plus, you can spend it as well. You can spend it just like fiat, like I was saying earlier. You can do payment transactions. You can send it to someone else across the world. Unlike with the US dollar, you have to then, if you're going to Canada, you have to exchange it and convert it over. But if you have USDC or USDT, and another person has that, and they're over in Ethiopia, it doesn't matter. They have the same stable coin. You can just send that stable coin to that person's wallet, and they can utilize it as well. So it's a lot quicker, faster, and streamlined.
Can you use cryptocurrency for like at stores nowadays?
Yes.
Like
So
groceries,
there's.
I don't know if
Yeah.
I'm just
So once we get towards the thing, if you go down this page, I'll finish this page and then I'll go over that part.
Okay.
Okay, so fiat money equals traditional government issued currency, right? It's like I was saying earlier, USD, Euro, and CAD. Here is the simplest, safest steps for beginners. Choose a trusted exchange. Exchange is like a bank. A cryptocurrency exchange lets you buy cryptocurrency using your regular money or fiat. Beginner-friendly options would be Coinbase. I would say the best that I use: Coinbase, Binance US, Kraken, Crypto.com, and then PayPal. The main one I would say is Coinbase. So how you were trying to say, can you use it in real world to pay with it? Coinbase allows you to, once you download to the platform, you also can request a debit card from them. So the debit card is then now connected to your cryptocurrency. So with them, you can switch it to your Bitcoin, you can switch it to your Ethereum, your Solana, your USDC, and then when you spend it, they automatically on the back end, which is using software, ding ding ding, and then they're converting it over to fiat for themselves. They convert it over to fiat, allowing your transaction to go through over in the worldwide. So they're already, it's already integrated. It's already partnered with, Microsoft, Visa, the debit card, and everything. Do I have it somewhere? Where is it?
Like a digital wallet?
Yeah. No, they have. So the Coinbase has it.
That's Coinbase?
Yeah, Coinbase debit card.
Interesting.
So it has the chip, everything else. You can use it just like any normal debit card. Anywhere that you can swipe a debit card. So with Coinbase, you can still spend your cryptocurrency just like anything else. But you're having a chance of it to be growing. You have some of your money in the market in a sense, but it's growing, you're learning, you're educating yourself as to you really wholeheartedly believe in the blockchain and the cryptocurrency or the ones that you're holding, and you see a future for them the next 10 to 20 years. So some people are very fanatic with this blockchain called XRP. So that's something to also look into, XRP. So XRP is basically like the Ledger 3.0. It's going to allow the smart contract, which is like Ethereum, the blockchain itself, and it's going to give a bridge to where the institutions are going to be able to adopt themselves over to the blockchain by utilizing it where their ledger system, it'll be obsolete, and then they would use XRP, which has its own ledger system, which is connected to the blockchain. They'll now be able to do transactions of sending $1 billion to China in a matter of minutes.
Sure.
It's cheaper, it's quicker. Mostly it's the part that is cheaper. So instead of it costing for them to send a wire over to China for $1 billion, which let's say takes $10,000, probably more. Let's say for $1 billion, it's going to cost $1 million
Sure.
in fees just to send it. Unlike with the blockchain, sending it through USDC or Bitcoin or let's say Polygon, Matic, it would only cost them $100,000 versus $1 million. Of course they're gonna sign up for that.
Sure.
Of course they wanna get it, but the only thing stopping them right now, or was stopping them, was regulation. Laws being in place. Is it regulated so that it's not hackable, right? They're not gonna lose their money if they do it incorrectly or this and that. So these are all these things that are coming into play. Trump has made it very clear that he wants, U.S. to be the capital of the cryptocurrency, and that we're back to being the superpowers of
Sure.
knowing and being educated in it. So I'm just gonna go to the next one there. When choosing, look for strong security, easy verification, low fees, like I said, and good customer support. So there's a thing called KYC. You create an account and verify your identity. So, most companies and apps and everything like that do that nowadays. So exchanges require your identity to protect users and follow regulations. Government ID, address, selfie. Some of them even ask for like your social security sometimes, but most of them don't, but there is some that do. But mostly it's your ID, your address, and verifying your face.
Sure.
That is you, that is creating this. At first I thought it was kind of like stupid, isn't it? But I'm like, wait, freaking everything else on the world does that. When you're getting a job, they have your photo and then they take a picture of you to verify you that you can work with them. Same thing, KYC, know your customer. So you add so the step 3, you'll be adding your fiat, which is your bank account. So you can deposit money by bank transfer, a debit card, credit cards. It's gonna cost you a little bit higher because now you're using the bank's money and not your own money. Apple Pay, Google Pay on some platforms. So for most beginners, use bank transfer because it has the lowest fee. So fee in this is called, even though I'm calling it fee or higher fee, it's called gas fee. Gas fee. So in the crypto ISO world, any transaction, same difference to out in the real world. When you're using your debit card and you go to Walmart, let's say for example, you insert it, swipe it, etc. There's a transactional fee through MasterCard and Visa,
Sure.
which is then charged back onto Walmart. They have to pay that to give you your convenience to be able to swipe your card instead of paying in cash. If you pay with cash, there is no fee, it's just straight up the price. What it shows is that. But on the back end, they're not making us pay it, but some places are switching to that, like for example, bars. In some places, they opened the books to where they're allowed to, forward that fee back onto the consumer versus them as the business has to foot the fee. So, they have to disclose that, saying that you swipe your card, it's gonna be a 3% increase charge of fee for the convenience of using your card versus if you only use cash, this is the price.
Right.
But if you use this one, it's a fee.
Makes sense.
So when you buy your first cryptocurrency, once your fiat money is in the exchange, you can now buy cryptocurrency. So, for example, $100 convert over to Bitcoin, $50 convert over to Ethereum, $20 convert over to a stablecoin. You don't need to buy a full coin, so one whole book Bitcoin would be 1.00. You can buy fractions of cryptocurrency like 0.00002. So same thing, like there's $1, but there's fractions of a dollar, which is 50 cents, a quarter, nickel, dimes, etc. So look at it that way. One whole Bitcoin, one whole dollar. Obviously, it's worth way more than that.
Sure.
You then break it into change. That's the difference. Fraction, change. And did you have a little bit more? It looks like you were a little bit confused with that part there.
No, I'm not confused, just.
Did you have a question about
No,
that? No.
not right now.
So store your cryptocurrency safely. This is the part where we're getting towards the wallets. So you have two main storage options. There's an exchange wallet, like so easy for beginners. So stored inside the app. So like example, Coinbase, you can purchase the coins and then you leave it on the platform. Now you have a wallet within the platform, but you're not ownership of it. They technically still own your money. You have access to it, but if that platform goes down, then they gotta go to courtships, they gotta verify like who's all the users, can I get my money back, is gonna be a bunch of crap with it. So
Sure.
that's the point of, you can do it best for learning, so that you just know that you can purchase it, leave it on there. They do make it very user friendly. It's showing you how much is there, is it growing per percentages, but not ideal for long-term storage. Long-term storage would be the same difference. You can keep, I don't know, 100,000 in the bank, or would you rather put it over into something of an investment vehicle, like with an advisor? Or some people are very old school. I would rather keep it with myself in a safe, locked up. I know I have only access to it. So, exchange, a bank, keeping it in a checking account, or your own self, cold wallet, a safe, you have only access to it. Right.
And that's kind of what I asked earlier about that. Why would I put it on stable, just instead of just taking it out,
Yeah.
the stable coin, until you explain it so it makes more sense.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then, so personal crypto wallet is more secure. I was kind of saying there, you control your private keys. So, example, when you do open the wallet, it gives you private keys, which is like key phrases of like 10 words.
Sure.
So, types of different ones. There's called a hot wallet, which is like MetaMask, or the Coinbase wallet. And again, is still good, again, for beginners to get used to what a wallet means, to open one, create it, look at all the different cryptocurrencies that you have on there. But if you plan on keeping it for years upon years and trusting or believing that the coin is going to keep increasing in value because you believe what that company holds of value to the real world, you don't want it on the exchange. So you want to go over to this, which is called the cold wallets. Cold wallets is like the Ledger, which is XRP, which is the Ledger system, or Trezor devices. So those ones are, for example, like a little flash drive, some of them are as small like that. So it's like a thumb drive or a flash drive. It stores your private keys with that thumb drive. It gives you it, when you first open up the platform, like the Ledger, you write it down on a card or whatever, you store it away. But then after you go past that transaction, it is now forever kind of stored with your device in a sense, and you want to keep it off the internet, so
Right.
it's not connected to anything. When you need to access it, you plug it back into the computer, connecting it thus back to the internet. Then you have, you can do your own private password on it to access your cryptocurrency. You can do your biometrics to access it.
Is that advice for beginners too, cold wallets, or more for?
Honestly, I
experienced?
would not yet, but I would say, so you can and can. So if you plan on doing long-term investing, then yes, even as a beginner, even quicker beginner one would be the Tangent wallet. I don't think I put that on there. So Tangent wallet, that one can be purchased. I'm pretty sure I'm going to also combine all of my affiliate links over, later on, so that when I do send you those ones to be able to purchase those things, it gives me a little incentive to kick back over to do so. I'll send some of those via to you later on, to your email, and then you can access them from there. So for long-term investing, personal wallet is recommended, like I said there. On the exchange, leave small amounts on there so that you have quick access to exchange them back and forth to different cryptocurrencies or into stablecoin. Or if you plan on wanting to convert it over into fiat, then it needs to be on the exchange to then convert it to fiat to then give it to your bank account.
Right.
So that's the point of keeping money to the exchanges. They're your bridge back to your fiat. If you have it on a wallet, on a cold wallet, or even a hot wallet, it's just within the world of cryptocurrency, and you're not really gonna be able to convert it into fiat. That they're not the purposes of that.
Right.
Okay, so decide your investment strategy. Common beginner strategies is called DCA, which is dollar cost averaging. So something as small as like $20 a week. This is a very strong recommendation. Would say the DCA. That goes the same thing for anything within the world of finances. Is I'd highly suggest, in a sense, for even if you're doing something for savings, for a vacation or anything like that, you want a dollar cost average that to where you have that nest egg or a little emergency pool.
Sure.
In case something was to happen. Look at the DCA as something that you're doing towards to having a nest egg, emergency pool. It's not detrimental to your main bills that you need to pay, but it's just your extra overflow of your cash flow. You wanna take away from that and then use that as a DCA. Long term is HODL. That's the whole terminology in cryptocurrency. They call it HODL or DCA. And then, so you keep your cryptocurrency for years. I kind of said a little bit earlier there. This strategy has historically performed well with major coins. What I was saying with the DCA, reduce the risk, builds long-term wealth. Avoid day trading. So day trading is people that like to, let's say, buy Bitcoin at $70,000. They think it's gonna go back up to $90,000 or $80,000 within a day. They buy it, hold it for that day, wait to see if it gets close to the 80,000. It does, take their profit, sell it all the way out. Those are basically day traders, is very high risk.
Right.
There's a possibility that it freaking tanks even lower than what they bought it at 70,000, and it goes to 60,000. Now if they're a day trader, now they gotta hold it over for multiple days in order to hope that it goes back up to 80,000. Instead of trying to learn all that, that's a completely different, subject and topic to learn, which is trading.
Sure.
Although, or day trading, but ultimately, people that are investing in cryptocurrency or investing in anything, even for example, stocks. In retrospect, they're still called traders. They're just long-term traders. You're basically becoming a long-term trader versus a day trader.
Right.
You're buying it at a low, Bitcoin at 50,000, even though it's nowhere near that right now. At 50,000, and you're hoping, not even hoping, but you know and trust that it's going to continue to keep going up because of the scarcity of it. And then you want to then start taking your profits along the way, right? It goes up to 80,000, however much that is percentage, and you see like, I really liked how much that just grew. I'm gonna take a chunk away from that, put it into stablecoin or convert it to fiat. You're essentially a trader, but you're a long-term trader because let's say it didn't happen for another 4 years. You waited whole 4 years, you bought it at 50,000, you held it for 4 years, and then you still outright traded it and took profits. Right? So at the end of the day, it's still the person that is becoming a trader if they're long-term holding it, unless they infinitely hold the asset, which you can, then you're not necessarily a trader, you're now holding it as a commodity, as an asset that can be borrowed against. That also is out there, and that does exist with that as well. Like for example, you're buying a house, it's a liability at first because now you gotta get a mortgage on it and everything like that. But as you hold it over time, you're not necessarily trading off. Not most people, once they buy their, let's say, their dream house, they kind of stay in it for life, even though we're not meant to be doing that with the houses. The whole point for the house industry was the banking industry, which is the Federal Reserves. They built houses in order to allow them to have a vehicle to trade, to lend money. The whole point of houses was to lend money to people, and there wasn't any other way to just give someone free, like, here, take $100,000. For what? Here, take a house.
Right.
You want something that's to keep you safe and out of the weather and everything like that? Look at this white picket fence and it's amazing and beautiful, right? But over time, the value of it goes up, which is appreciation, appreciates. So then eventually you buy it at 100,000, 4 years